If you do a lot of talking in noisy environments, you gotta get the Nothing brand, any one of them, whichever one you can afford, because they're all amazing at canceling background noise while on a phone call. I tell you that right now. What's up, guys? Killyang here, LA-based music producer. Okay, it has been quite a minute since I put out my last video, and you know, I've been a father of two little rascals now, two adorable little rascals, I should say. Quite tiring, but enjoying, feeling the most reward I've ever felt before, to be honest. However, my free time is now extremely limited. So I did want to put out this video quite a while ago, and I still think it's better late than never. So we're going to be talking about three things today. We're going to be talking about the Nothing Ear Stick, the Nothing Ear 2, especially in comparison to the Nothing Ear 1. And then we're going to be talking a little bit about what sound quality really is. And all of this, the majority of the conversation is going to be focused around sound quality, because this is a topic that's just not covered enough on YouTube, in my opinion. Like, I see all these other YouTubers reviewing audio equipment, and they talk about the features, and they talk about battery life, and they talk about everything, but they just don't talk about sound quality very much for some reason. So if you care about sound, this is the channel where you want to tune in and listen up. Okay, so here we go. Let's talk about the Nothing Ear Stick. So going down on the spreadsheet here, I did a pretty thorough listening on Nothing Ear Stick. And so we're just going to jump right into sound quality. You know what? 5 out of 5 on the low end. I am super impressed. I mean, it's perfect. Every frequency under 500 hertz, it's perfect. It's a 5 out of 5. You like that nice, thick kick thump, and you want that thick bass, and you just want it right in your face. You want the bass in your face. These are the headphones to get. For 99 bucks, it's a steal, okay? Steal. Now, slight downside is that, you know, at the end of the day, it's about balance too, right? It's not just about having the ultimate bass and not having the mids and not having the highs. It's kind of like when you order a, I don't know, say steak and mashed potatoes. How would you like it if they only gave you like 1 ounce of steak and 15 ounces of mashed potatoes? Or vice versa. They give you like, well, maybe you wouldn't mind if it was like a 15-ounce steak and only 1 ounce of mashed potatoes. But I think you get the point. The point is that you want a well-balanced meal, right? You want a good main course. You want a good side. You want a good drink to accompany that. It's all about balance. If you have too much of one and not enough of the other, even if the one thing that you have too much of is great, it's a little bit of a nuisance, right? It's a hindrance for sure. So this is a problem with these, is that they have fantastic bass, and then it just falls apart on the mids, because the bass is so good, it kind of overpowers everything else. And this is on the balance setting, mind you. You know, I do everything, all the testing on the balance setting. I don't mess around with the treble, the preferential treble or preferential bass or other settings. Everything is on balance setting. So we'll say it was a 3 out of 5 on the mids, 3.5 out of 5 on the highs, because it was almost a 4. Pretty good highs, but not good enough to quite be like in the excellent category. And overall image, because of the slight imbalance with the mids and the highs compared to the bass, I'll give it a 3. So still pretty good. I mean, 3 is solid. And stereo imaging is also a 3 as far as the instrument separation as you listen to music. So I would say overall, very solid pair of non-in-ear, so regular earbud style headphones. And 7 hours battery life is really great. Really, really great. Excellent on the reliability, on the connection reliability, and no transparency, no background noise canceling. Amazing for voice calls. Straight up amazing. And yeah, overall excellent value. So on the Killyang scale, it falls in the excellent value category. No questions there. Moving on. So let's now talk about the Nothing Ear 2. On the Nothing Ear 2, I reviewed also all of those different categories in the sound quality, looking at different sound quality criteria, and I determined it's a 4 out of 5 on the low, 3.5 out of 5 on the mid, and a very strong 5 out of 5 on the high. So very similar to the Nothing Ear 1, but definitely improvement on the mids. I just wish it was a little bit more improved. So the overall balance is still a 3. It's not enough to make it a 4. You could say maybe 3.5, but still a little lackluster on the mids, unfortunately. Stereo imaging is a solid 4. So that's the good news there, same as the Nothing Ear 1. They did improve a little bit on the battery life. It's now 36 hours in the case versus 34 hours before. Connection reliability, excellent. Going back to the listening time and battery life, it's pretty much the same. It's slightly worse on the active noise canceling. However, in terms of battery life, however, it was good on the transparency, and it was really amazing on the background noise canceling side. If you do a lot of traveling, these are the headphones to get. Okay, you do a lot of traveling on the bus, on the train, on the plane. You want these because it brings down everything, I think by 40 decibels is what they advertised, which is insane. It's insane. I mean, I put them on, I went outside for a walk. It was insane. It was insane. I could barely hear anything around me. Saw a car drive by, and I can only hear the very, very top end, like the shh sound. Very, very, very slight sound on the top end when you hear it, like a car whiz by or any kind of background noise. But you got to be careful with these things on, because you could have somebody yelling at you. They could be standing behind you, screaming your name, and you're not going to hear nothing. So just make sure that you're not putting these on with the background noise canceling setting on when you are expecting someone to need you. As far as the background noise canceling while on a call, so that the other person on the other side of the line doesn't hear all that noise bleed, it's excellent. Okay, that's another thing that nobody else talks about, is nobody talks about when you're on a call, is the other person hearing all that noise bleed? What if you're in a coffee shop? What if you're at a cafeteria, right? What if you're all in all those busy, noisy settings? How can you make sure that the person on the other line is not hearing all that noise bleed? And this is how you make sure, is I tested it, and sure enough, the other person could barely hear anything in the background. So these are really, really, really excellent for that. And for some reason, the Nothing brand does the best at that. You can see here, even the Apple brand doesn't do as good at canceling noise while on a phone call. So if you do a lot of talking in noisy environments, you gotta get the Nothing brand, any one of them, whichever one you can afford, because they're all amazing at canceling background noise while on a phone call. I tell you that right now. So overall value is still fantastic. I mean, $150 for all of this, I mean, this thing packs a punch. And let me tell you, it's like $150, you get really pretty good sound quality. The only slight drawback for me is, even though I like the sound quality overall, I'm a little bit turned off by the sound signature. So that's another thing that nobody else talks about, is sound signature. What is sound signature? And in fact, what is sound quality? What does that even really mean, right? Sound quality means, in my opinion, 2 distinct things. Number one is sound fidelity. So sound fidelity is how good, how accurate are the reproduction of the sound frequencies from the original source to what you're hearing. How good is that fidelity? That's part of the sound quality. How good is the reproduction of the low end sound frequencies, the mid end, and the high end? And then that leads into sound balance, is how balanced are they? And that ties in with the sound signature, because every single device is built differently. Every single piece of headphone equipment, any type of headphone you use, is going to have different size drivers and different number of drivers. So they're all going to have a unique sound signature, whether you're using, Sennheisers or Bayer Dynamics or whatever brand you like to use, or in this case, Nothing, or Apple equipment, or Dre Beats, or you name it. They each have a unique sound signature because they're all built differently. So to give you a little bit more about the sound signature on the Nothing Ear 2, is you can see right here, it starts out at about 5 dB above 0 on the low end, and then it kind of starts dipping on the mids. As soon as you reach towards the 500 hertz range, that's good. You don't want too much 500 hertz, because that's where the mud is. That's a muddy sound. But like right start, you get about the lower mid-range, which is around 500 and up. Once you get to the lower mid-range and you approach the mid-range, which is 1 to 5K usually, and this is where it just jumps a little bit too high towards the high end of the mid-range, or you could say that's the low end of the high range. And that's the reason why it sounds a little bit out of balance. If this was a little bit more towards where the ideal frequency response is, I would say that these will be more balanced, a better sound quality and balanced approach between the lows, the mids, and the highs. So unfortunately, because of this spike here on the lower end of the high range, of the high frequency range, it just kind of pulls away from the mids and doesn't give you that beautiful balance that I really want. So the sound fidelity, just not to confuse anything, the sound fidelity is there on the Nothing Ear 2s. Okay, they even claim to be able to reproduce, I think it said, high definition sound at, was it 96 kilohertz? So let's go on the official website of the Nothing Ear 2s and see they claim high-res wireless audio at 24-bit high-res. Okay, so these claim to be high-res wireless, and you can see here it says 24-bit sound at 192 kilohertz with LHDC5 and up to 990 kbps with frequencies up to 24-bit 96 kilohertz with LDAC. High res starts at 96 kilohertz. So if it can handle up to 192 kilohertz, that's quite impressive, especially as a wireless device. That's truly impressive. But like I said, you know, the problem is not the sound fidelity with these. The problem is the sound signature. So that's something else that maybe a lot of YouTubers out there are not going to cover because it's a little bit more on the audiophile side, is that unfortunately the sound signature, the frequency response of these it's just not tuned to the way I like it and the way I would say that most audiophiles like it, which is a little bit more on the balance side. See, what you want is like, you want a little bit of boost on the bass. You definitely want a little bit of a dip on the 500 hertz because that's where the mud is, and then you want a nice little boost on the mids, right? But not too much. And then you want the frequency response to start cutting after around 15, 16 kilohertz, because anything higher than that, and all it's going to do is pierce your ears and hurt your ears. So you don't want to hear anything past 16 kilohertz, which for most adults, you can't really hear past 16 kilohertz anyway. Kids can, you know, if you're like under 20 years old or something, you can hear frequencies over 16 kilohertz. But most people, most adults cannot hear anything over 16 kilohertz. Remember that. So yeah, so that's the takeaway here, is that it's a really, really good sound. It's just a little bit out of balance, unfortunately. So it's like you had a really good steak meal, but they give you a little too much mashed potatoes and not enough steak. So yeah, so with that said, going back to the spreadsheet, fantastic value still, packs in a ton of features, and the Nothing brand, again, once again, is the absolute best here when it comes to talking on the phone in noisy environments. Okay, nobody else talks about this. I cover it here on this channel. I do a lot of testing with lots of background noise when I make phone calls, and the other person on the other line doesn't hear nothing. It's almost as if I was in a very quiet room, even though I'm in like a super busy cafeteria or even outdoors with like cars and motorcycles and buses whizzing by. It's almost like I'm just sitting at home. It's incredible. So props to Nothing brand on pulling that off. Amazing. Even better job than Apple on this one. All right, so I think with that said, I've covered it all on the sound quality side, and thank you for watching. And with that said, I'll catch you in the next video.